Hello, Bluey the Bear reporting live. Our next segment is Zoo Live with Miss Haley at the library. But first, breaking news. The summer reading finale will be July 24th at the Portsmouth Library for those who have finished the summer reading challenge. Contact us at 740-354-5688 for more information. Now enjoy learning whether some of your favorite creatures are real or fake with Miss Haley.
Hey kiddos, it's Miss Haley here from the library, and I'm a special guest star today on your broadcast to share with you some of the mythical creatures we have here at the library. Now buckle up, because we got a good handful here, alright? So the first guy we have is Mr. Jackalope. Now you might be saying, but Miss Haley, I have seen taxidermy versions of a jackalope. It's gotta be real. That's not the case. I'm sorry. You've been bamboozled. This little guy here, Mr. Jackalope with the antlers and his clearly cute little bunny ears, sadly is a mythical creature of North American folklore. He's not real. Even if you've seen versions or even pictures online, they've been altered and faked. It's a great way for people to make money, especially taxidermists. Now, it's said to have been seen in North America, jackrabbits with antlers or lumps on their head that look like small antlers, but it's not true. They might have been misidentified as having a certain disease that caused growths, which could be mistaken for antlers, and thus we have the jackalope. And then those taxidermied versions are just really creative people gluing antlers from other animals onto cute little jackrabbits. And you know, why is it right? It was very convincing because you can see it with your eyes, right? But there's still many ways to create hoaxes, just like Mr. Jackalope here. Now it's interesting because the jackalope has been part of North American mythical creature folklore since about the colonial days. So this has been going on for a long time, and you would think we'd finally put this mythical creature to rest, right? And just be like, it's not real. But even today, you're gonna have a hard time convincing some people because they've seen little guys like this, our little puppet jackalope, and they're gonna say, I've seen them before. But sadly, it's a misidentification and just a hoax. But that doesn't mean he's not as cute and fun, and you can come visit him here at the library. Right, Mr. Jackalope? You're happy to make friends. All right, let's say bye to Mr. Jackalope and say thank you for your time. All right, I'll be right back with my next creature. Welcome back, kiddos. All right, I have here my bosses here at the library's favorite mythical creature that we are hosts to at the library. I have here a baby Bigfoot, or also known as a Sasquatch, or maybe a Yowie in Australia, and a Yeren in Asia. There's many names. Sometimes, depending on what part of America you're in, he's not called Bigfoot or Sasquatch. He's called a skunk ape. Because typically, us humans think that he looks kind of like an ape man and that they stink, ooey. But don't worry, our little Bigfoot right here, he gets baths, so he doesn't stink. So let's talk about what a Bigfoot is. Usually they're described at least as an adult Bigfoot, not this little guy, although his feet are super big. An adult Bigfoot is described as about 6 to 9 feet tall, a humanoid ape-type creature walking on 2 feet, like a person. And that they live in woodland areas, so they live in the forests. Now, the Bigfoot mythology I'm going to be talking about is specific to Canada and North America, because that's where about the most sightings happen that are reported, at least the notes to our research center here at the library. That's right. Did you guys know that your library is basically a research center, even for cryptid zoology? I know, right? So cool. That's why you guys should come on down. Anyway, while I rock this little baby Bigfoot to sleep, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the mythology of Bigfoots. Again, like the jackalope, it being more so in North America and Canada, there seems to be a lot of evidence for this creature. Photos, videos, castings, and molds of giant human-like feet. So this might make you think they exist, right? I mean, I'm holding one right here, but the library is a special area, right? The library is a little bubble full of magic and wonder. That's why we can have a baby Bigfoot and still talk about Bigfoots being mythical creatures. So a lot of that evidence can't actually be proven as real proof. There's really no scientific evidence or research into concluding that the Bigfoot is a real-life creature. No matter how many people say they saw it or how many photos are taken, Bigfoot is one of the more bigger known crypto creatures in North America. And there's a wide history of big hoaxes, like circuses saying they have a genuine frozen Bigfoot on display in their freak show, which turns out to just be a gorilla suit frozen in a block of ice. So, take any evidence you may see of this creature with a grain of salt, because most of these have been humongously wishful thinking and hopes of seeing him. Sometimes your brain sees something and it makes sense of it in a weird way that's not actually true. Or they're really, 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 really well done hoaxes by people that want to make money or just believe in the Sasquatch itself. It's also known that this mythology of Bigfoot has come from a mix of North American lore, somewhat based in North American, Native Americans' cultures, beliefs, folklore, although the European settlers in America have taken all that culture and all those beliefs and myths and stories and kind of mixed it with their own European folklore to create Bigfoot as we know him today. So you just take a lot of misconstrued beliefs and cultures of the Native Americans in Canada and North America, you mix it with European folklore from when Europeans came to North America and Canada, and then you throw a big dash of wishful thinking and imagination, and you get the mythical creature of Bigfoot. Aww. This Bigfoot's ready for his nap, so I'm gonna go put him down for a good long summer nap, and then I'll be right back with more creatures to talk about. Have fun all summer long. Enjoy the library's technology. Make a new friend. Get creative with our take-home crafts. Sign up today. Welcome back. So with me, I have another baby. This one's not as sleepy as Bigfoot was. So this right here, you guys, is a baby Yeti, or abominable snowman, sometimes known in these parts of America. He's kind of like the cousin to Bigfoot. Kind of like if you think about a black bear versus a polar bear. They're essentially both bears, but they have adapted more so to their environments and the atmospheres in which they live. So a Yeti, which is known as a Tibetan Yeti, is again, kind of like an ape-like, humanoid, very strong, very close to a bear creature that lives in the Himalayan mountains. Known a lot for, at least based in some lore, known for throwing rocks, causing avalanches down the mountains, and scaring a lot of travelers in the snow. Again, there has been evidence about this mythical creature being real, and it's mostly tied to mythology and folklore and cultural stories around the Himalayan mountains. Now, the evidence is similar to Bigfoot, a lot of eyewitness accounts, maybe some big footprints in the snow, but again, nothing that we can prove scientifically for a fact that these guys exist anywhere but your local library, of course. Because I got one right here, I got a baby. Yes. He's very sweet. He doesn't throw rocks or cause avalanches. Again, the Yeti or abominable snowman, we don't really have evidence, and often it is concluded that people are simply mistaking bears or other large creatures and mistaking them or misidentifying them as a Yeti. This is another mythical creature that, with a mix of folklore, imagination, wishful thinking, we get a Yeti. But this one's friendly and sweet, and he would love to see you all at the library if you come and see him. Isn't that right, sweetheart? Yes, it is. So, I will be back because he is going to help sing the lullaby to his cousin Bigfoot here. And we'll be back with our next mythical creature here at the library, right? Yes! All right. See you soon. Listen to audiobooks for free on your phone from your library with Libby. Hoopla! For everything Libby doesn't have, plus movies and TV. All right, I'm so glad to see all your faces again. Now, I know you're wondering, Miss Haley, I came here to see mythical creatures, and I thought they were huge, giant, life-sized creatures. Well, it's really hard to keep adult-sized mythical creatures here at the library. So we just help raise the babies. So right here I have a very little, but still very magical and beautiful baby unicorn. I know you all know unicorns, right? The amount of unicorn books you all check out here is astonishing. So why don't we talk about the mythology behind unicorns? Now, interesting fact, unicorns are very popular in Scotland. They're almost seen as a mascot for the country. Now, a unicorn, of course, is like a regular horse, but it has one horn sprouting from its little forehead, and oftentimes these horns are associated with healing properties. So, if you see in stories and folklore, you'll see unicorns can provide healing or magical powers through the use of their horns. Now, aren't there other animals with horns? There are. Most animals have two horns on their heads. You might be thinking, kind of like our jackalope friend over there, hanging out with Bigfoot while he naps. But a unicorn is special because it has one. But wait, isn't there another animal that's not mythical that has one horn? You're right, it's the narwhal. So maybe people have mistaken narwhals as unicorns? Or maybe they took that idea of a narwhal somehow and we morphed it into a horse-like creature and got unicorns. Who knows? But unicorns are a very, very widely spread mythical creature. You can see it all over the globe in different cultures, stories, folklore, mythology. You see them everywhere. In modern times, unicorns are still very prominent in our stories, in our movies, in our TV shows, our books. They're everywhere, right? Who doesn't love unicorns? But they're often associated not with reality, but they're there to bring a sense of fantasy and wonder and magic to something. And oftentimes unicorns are used as a way to show uniqueness or fantasy or rarity. They're not exactly there to be a real creature, they're there to show a different type of world creating, or even a message to a story about being unique, which I think is really great, because what is more unique and magical than a beautiful little unicorn. All right, I'm gonna put this unicorn away, and then we're gonna get on with our next fantasy creature. Welcome back, everybody. I have a special guest all the way from Scotland, Miss Loch Ness Monster, or as you might know her, Nessie. Now, Nessie is one of my favorite mythical creatures. Here at the library, she hangs out with us and she tells us all the stories about living in that loch over in Scotland. Now, again, like with most of our other creatures, Nessie has a lot of evidence, specifically photo evidence. Some people even dedicate their entire lives to living near the body of water, which they think they've seen her before, to try and catch her. Now, whether they mean to catch her in a photo or with a net or something of that sort to actually capture her, we're not sure. But, again, this evidence has not been proven to be factual. Now, of course, with it being Scotland, there's a lot of magical folklore associated with Scotland, just like with the unicorn. But typically, Nessie here is described as a serpentine type creature that can breathe underwater, maybe even like a dragon type creature that has just lived its days throughout Scotland, undiscovered for who knows how long. Maybe even she describes almost a longing for magic. I feel like a lot of mythical creatures might do that. We humans long for a magical world where certain things exist, and maybe that's why these mythical creatures and these sightings take place. Again, it's probably that wishful thinking happening again, even with Nessie here, right? Although a lot of times, her descriptions described a lot like certain water dinosaurs. So maybe there's some truth to Nessie. Water is, after all, one of the most undiscovered places on this earth. There's so much we have not explored in the great depths of the sea. So maybe Nessie is true. Maybe she exists and she's just really good at hiding. I'd say she's the hide and seek champion then, right? But anyways, a lot of times there is misidentifications, lots of hoaxes going on. Photos are notoriously easy to fake, and simply people want to believe in magical creatures. Don't we all kind of? Makes the world a little more fun. So, you can believe what you want. A lot of people certainly do believe in Nessie, just like they believe in the Bigfoot and Yeti, and that's fine. We're just here to talk about them and talk about what they're based on, but honestly, anything's possible, right? I mean, you see it right here. I have all these creatures here at the library. But again, the library is that little pocket of magic in the real world, so that doesn't exactly go for the whole world. But if you come in, you of course can meet Nessie if you'd like, but remember, a lot of times if you think you've seen her, your brain might just be playing with you, but there is a lot of mythology based off serpentine-like creatures, like dinosaur-like creatures, other creatures a lot like Nessie here, right? Do you think what I'm getting to is dragons? Maybe Nessie is a dragon. She's been hiding out her days in the nest. Maybe, but let's talk a little bit more about dragons. Nessie's got to go back to the water. It's a little dry out here, okay? All right, we'll be right back with a dragon. So glad you joined us again, because I have here our baby dragon. Now, dragons are typically found all over the world, at least in folklore, mythology, stories, maybe even some cultural beliefs, but also they're not specific to one area. They are seen across the globe in all cultures and all continents. Maybe they look a little bit different or have different powers, but essentially dragons are kind of like unicorns. And the whole world seems to have them in some sort of capacity, in some way. Now, typically they are serpentine creatures with maybe horns, they can breathe fire, tails, maybe they can fly, or they have maybe different magical powers instead of fire breathing. Can you fire breathe? Kind of. So, typically we see dragons in all forms of media, right? You've seen them in movies, TV shows, art even, and even in celebrations, which is super interesting, right? Now, dragons are seen in all types of books as well. And I know maybe you're thinking, well, mythical creatures and fantasy creatures like dragons are a kid's thing, but they're not. We have them in all sorts of books here at the library, from books for little babies and toddlers, to school age, to teenagers, and even adults. We have How to Catch a Dragon down here in youth services, and there's even dragons in books really popular with adults upstairs in adult services like Game of Thrones. And even Harry Potter, which is one of those books that is all ages, of course. But yeah, so why don't we think about how dragons are typically seen, because it's really interesting. Sometimes they're seen as protectors or guardians. Other times they're tyrants or just basically scary, terrorizing monsters that need defeated. So it's interesting how across all these different cultures, continents, countries, peoples, dragons are seen wildly differently, but essentially kind of the same. It's curious, right? Now, unlike maybe the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, there's not exactly evidence in the same way that some people believe in Bigfoot or Nessie that they believe in dragons, right? How many people have had a dragon sighting? Can you Google dragon found in real life and find pictures that haven't been doctored? Not really. They're a little different, but I have something to ponder on. What other creatures have scientists studied forever by their bones and fossils that kind of resemble dragons? Do you have a guess? It's dinosaurs, right? They're kind of reptilian, like dragons. They're a little serpent-like, right? So maybe in some way, we can think that mythological creatures are misidentified from real creatures. I mean, think about it. If you had grown up in a world where we didn't know about dinosaurs and you saw a dinosaur skeleton, you might think it's a dragon, right? Right, so that's an interesting way to look at mythical creatures in a whole. Maybe they are based on some factual evidence or some real-life animal. But with our imaginations as human beings, and we are predestined to just be very wishful thinkers, right? We want magical worlds. We try to make sense of what's around us. Maybe we've turned real-life animals into these mythical creatures. It's very common, because even Christopher Columbus mistook manatees, sea cows, as mermaids. Mermaids! So it's really not uncommon for essentially mythical creatures to actually be real animals that we have real scientific evidence exist. But also, we do have a modern day dragon that does exist. The kimono dragon. Have you ever went to a zoo and seen those? They certainly fit the bill of a dragon, don't they? Yeah. Maybe they don't fire breathe, maybe they don't fly, but they are a dragon-like creature. But you know what's also interesting is there's a lot of animals just kind of like kimono dragons that are reptilian, that are similar to dinosaurs, like crocodiles, alligators, which there's evidence to say that they were around with the dinosaurs. They were just different then. Kind of like sloths, too. They were ginormous, but now they're smaller. So who's to say maybe these mythical creatures aren't based in some truth? Right? All right, I'm going to put Mr. Dragon away. He's got dinner soon. Don't worry, he's a vegetarian dragon. That's right. So I'm going to steam him up some veggies, get him eating, get his belly full, so he can guard our castle here and use services. And then I'm going to talk about, what's next? Maybe dinosaurs. I know, not exactly mythical, but I think it's important we bring a dinosaur out and we talk to them, okay? All right, I'll see you next. Come on, let's go get some food. Oh, wait, Miss Haley, I've been to museums, I've seen dinosaurs' entire skeletons. They're not mythical. You're right. But we were just talking about dragons. Reptilian, serpent, avian-like creatures. Sounds a lot like our friend the dinosaur here, doesn't it? So why don't we think about how mythical creatures and the folklore around them and the stories, how do they start maybe? We know wishful thinking. But imagine you have never seen a dinosaur before, and you came across a dinosaur skeleton. As a human, our imagination is just going to take flight, and thus, dragons. Now, we can't be for sure that's what happened, but doesn't that sound like it could be that? So maybe some of these mythical creatures we talked about today actually are based off real existing animals. Maybe those animals are still around. Maybe they went extinct a long time ago before any of us have ever seen them or saw any evidence of them. Just something to ponder on, right? It's kind of interesting, but it's also interesting because we still have the kimono dragon and crocodiles and alligators. Pretty dragon-like, right? And there's even lizards that have wings that can fly. You can see them today. They exist in the jungles. So maybe our mythical fantasy creatures aren't exactly out of this world like they tend to seem. Right? That's kind of interesting. Just something to think about as we finish up our little tour of all the magical, mythical creatures here at the library. Right? Wait. Oh, you guys, I forgot one. Let me see if you can guess who it is. They're semi-local. Think about West Virginia-ish area. They fly, have big red eyes, resemble maybe a type of insect. It's Mothman! Alright, I did not talk about Mothman yet because I have an exclusive interview with the Mothman himself. I hope you all enjoy it! Library cards, easy to get, fun to have. Get yours today! Hello, I just really respect you and your story, and I just really want to thank you for taking time out of your day, flying around West Virginia to sit here in an Ohio library and answer some of the questions. Yeah, all right, we really appreciate it, we really do. So, if you are comfortable, let's get started, shall we? Yeah. There is a whole festival actually in your honor. So what are some of your thoughts on that? Okay, so my next question is, have you ever yourself visited the Mothman Festival? Only in disguise. Oh, so have you ever been recognized? sounds like a close call. It sure does. Wow. Do you have any other cryptids family? Do you have any other cryptid friends? Do you believe that the Flatwoods Monster would agree to an interview with us? Really? Wow. Okay. Our people will get in touch with your people. All right. This has been a wonderful interview. I have one final question that our patrons just need answered from you. If you do not mind one more, I know you are a very busy cryptid, but before you fly back, what is your favorite book to check out from the library? I believe we have that in stock today right now. Oh my gosh. How cool is that? Well, thank you, Mr. Mothman. I appreciate your time. We know it was a long travel for you, but you are more than welcome back to this library, and I'm going to assume the county. But thank you. You have been a wonderful guest. And until we see you again,